Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to Union Cross. We're going to go through all the tier 5s that are your best choices to make into 7 stars before anything else. Basically, I've been doing this since tier 3. I'm going to go over the same thing I went over before. This is going by the best multiplier possible. Not the best utility, not the meta with the most buffs and debuffs. We're going for straight damage in single target and in AoE. I'll keep those two separate. And also, you got to remember that you have to have your beginning buffer. Your Keyblade setup revolves around having all the buffs and debuffs being taken care of with the metal setup you have. And that's done with Kairi, Xion, Stained Glass Metals, and Prime Metals. A combination of the last two together, or just a Kairi and Xions by themselves, or being copied with a copycat metal. Once you have that out of the way, you got to look at the best multiplier possible to make sure you have the most damage. And the one key thing here is if a metal has extra attack, you're most likely going to go for that metal. A metal with a trait of extra attack is going to be better than any of the other metals around it with the same multiplier. Be 1, 2, 3 multiplier more. The metal with 3 multiplier less is probably going to do better damage with extra attack. And also consider plus 1000 traits. They can make a big difference along with boosted metals. Alright, now that the introduction. Alright, now that we got the introduction out of the way, let's jump into the basics and how I'm going to compare everything to what is the best 7-star. Like I said before, you need your buffers. Anything from here can help buff you. Kairi and Xion on the top are the best buffers in the game, along with the old Kairi and Xion if you copy them once or twice with copycat metals, and then you have a combination of using Prime metals like Prime Axel, Prime Woody, Prime Buzz, and Key Art 17 along with all the stained glass metals. You just got to go for the attribute that matches your Keyblade and the metals that are attacking. So you want to have this in the beginning of your first 2 or 3 slots, and the rest is going to be the highest multipliers possible so you can do the most damage, especially in PvP. So max buffs, max debuffs, get that out of the way, and let's start looking for damage. So let's take a step back and look at what was the old meta in the game. Right here, guys, what used to be good as 6-star metals when Union Cross was simple was the Warrior of Light and Terra here from Final Fantasy Record Keeper collaboration, and then we had King Trident, Diz, and Scar along with Lexius being the strongest metals in the game. You also had Hercules and Genie here who had 19.80 multipliers, and anything below there was just not enough to be the best of the best. So now that we have a kind of a general idea of our best single target random metals, that being the new Invisible, Syx at 24, that is the best 6 stars that we have. Then we have 22 multipliers basically when it comes to all these metals here, and Lexius at 20. So single target 20 or 22 to 24 is a good place to say if a metal is 7-star and it's not above this, it's not that good. It's on average with our old system, not the new broken system of 7-star metals. And then when we look at AoE metals, our AoE, our best multipliers, which was accessible to everyone, is stained glass metals in the beginning of a Keyblade slot having 15.48, and then metals like the EX metals at 15.38, along with some VIP metals, as you guys can see. That was the best AoE. And for free to play, it was these guys at 13.80. So the benchmark for AoE is very easy to be beaten now by tier 4s. So when we look at the tier 5s, we really got to go above and beyond 15. Above and beyond, somewhere above 20. So that was the best 6 stars back then. 15.48, 15.38, and single target 22 to 24. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at what is our best tier 5. Starting with single target and random, because PvP, raid bosses in the quest, proud mode, all that are going to be the best to use. So starting from the top, number 1 is a metal with extra attack that you see at the top of this page right now. Anything that you see up here on the top 3 rows with extra attack should be the metal that you guys are going for first, excluding this right here. That is actually one of my main things I'm going to talk about, but not just yet, copycat metals. So if nothing has extra attack, then you're going to go for pure damage with the lowest requirement, and that is Lingering Will. No matter what setup you use, you make this guy into a 7-star. Put him at the end of the Keyblade slot. Who cares if it's a power Keyblade? As long as you can buff the general attack up and general defense down, and hopefully get some attribute speed down in there as well, you're going to be launching so much damage with this guy, especially in PvP. It's not funny because 35.65 is way above anything that we mentioned so far. The prime metals from tier 4 don't even come close to this. This is a solid 35. The old 6 stars at 24, this is 35. Lingering Will should be your number 1 option when it comes to this, unless these guys up here who have 31 with extra attack. Lingering Will is the best tier 5 that we have. And the only other option, if I didn't have Lingering Will and no other medal with extra attack, I'd be going for the copycat medals, because them copying 15 multiplier is going to be way better than anything you can have here. So make sure that if you don't have anything super strong, go for your copycat medals, because these tier 5 copycat medals can change your gameplay by a lot compared to anything else here. So if you did all that and you want pure damage, Lingering Will, of course, this high score challenge medal here, a 32.65, that would be my second choice if you need something in magic. And if you need something in power, power would be Illustrated Terror B at 32.65. This is huge, better than those tier 4 prime medals. These should be on your Keyblade slot if you have the new Kairi or the new Shion. These will do more damage than those prime medals, way more damage, especially if you have them boosted, if you have the right traits. The thing about the prime medals though, you got to remember, they have an extra 1,000 chips and Dales from being a prime medal and 5 trait slots. So if you did get a lot of traits on those medals, and obviously those tier 4s are better to use, but when we're looking at tier 5s with proper traits, these guys are really strong. So you do have these 3 options up here being 32 and above, which is way above the 6-star cap of 24. So I would prioritize on whatever one you wanted: speed, magic, or power. That's what you're looking at. Then really curiously, the tune medals are super strong, 31.50, and even if you don't do the requirement inflicts more damage the lower the number, 29.85, basically a 30. And if you remember, Prime Axel was a 30 on any slot. This is incredible for these tune medals. If you guys have tune medals, they're great choices because they also increase enemies' countdown. So you're having issues with the size quest right now, or any quest that enemy has a counter on their head, tune medals as 7 stars are actually very, very good. So go for any of these tune medals depending on what one you want: upright or reverse, magic speed or power, magic speed or power. Tune medals are the way to go. You do have the 2 medals inflicting more damage the higher the slot number, so you're guaranteed to get that 31.25 on the pet slot and slot 5. So even if you don't and you put them early, they are going to get a multiplier of 29.60, which is 5 more than the new Sykes that just came out as a 6-star. So once you have all that done, the next thing you guys want to consider, if you don't want 2 medals that have the requirement and you want guaranteed damage no matter what, so no 29 multiplier, you have a high score challenge HD Beast who has a guaranteed 31.15. And then you have Ursula, my waifu, who has a 31.15 on any Keyblade slot. Guaranteed damage. So realistically, I would do these guys first over these guys if you're not worried about enemies counters. If you're worried about enemies counters, go for the tune medals because they raise enemies counters. Incredible multiplier along with utility, and you don't need those fancy Lexius. You don't need any of that in 6-star forms, especially because these 7-star tune medals are just going to break it for you. And then of course you have another high score challenge medal here, but it has to inflict more damage in slot 4. So it can't go on any Keyblade or any slot that it wants. It has to be in slot 4. Unless it isn't, it's 27, which is getting closer to that 24, but still a lot better. So regardless, it's still going to do you good. But 29.98 is still solid. We're looking at a 29.98, another high score challenge, but again, slot 4. Then, of course, a VIP medal, the King and Donald and Goofy, that does 10 hits, ignores target's attributes, so it's always super effective, is a great choice for 29.90. But it is the speed version and a speed version. Lingering Will has 35.65. I would still go for this even if you're not facing enemies that are super effective towards him. He's still going to do incredible damage compared to this, but this will do super effective damage to any type. So if it faces a power version, it's still going to do maximum damage. So it's a really good choice to go for, just not as high as a multiplier as Lingering Will. Lingering Will still should be the first option. Anything from up here, guys, you're going to love. You do have here Chernobog, but the thing with Chernobog, he was a very specific high score challenge medal. It was a damage contest, and not a lot of people got this medal. So if you do have this medal, He's not terrible. He deals 4 extremely powerful hits, and he raises your strength by 3, your reverse strength once he's a 7-star, and targets defense by 3. Being a single target though, 29.65, I think it's also a solid choice now that we have the choice to go up to that. Anything else below there, these are near impossible for anybody to get. And from down here, that's it. That's it for single target. So anything you go for single target that's on everything I just showed you is great. Anything below that, I don't even think there's anything 7-star below that. That is the tier 5s for single target and random. They all have a place. They all do something good. The tune medals being my favorite and lingering will being the top medal to go for. But let's say that you have medals that are already 7 stars and you're doing great without it. I highly recommend that you guys go for the copycat medals. Just because it's a tier 5 that can copy any multiplier in the game, and if they copy a 15 multiplier, I've said this again in every video, copycat medals at this low of a tier actually outshine a lot of these medals. Lingering Will has a multiplier of 35.65. If we copy a multiplier of 15 with the new, or sorry, it would not be new, but with Cure Bonds, Beginning, or Sky, any of these 3 medals right here, let's say we copied a 15 multiplier, just a 15, with the guilt of 2.5, we're looking at a multiplier of 37.5, guys. A multiplier of 37.5 is huge, but not as huge as Lingering Will by himself. He can be anywhere, not copy no one for 35, but if you do have strong 7-star medals, this will be better than a Lingering Will. So that's the only time I would choose this if you already have a good amount of 7-star medals that you can copy. Because all these medals right here can be on the pet slot, copying backwards, meaning they have a high multiplier all the time and copying your best medal at the end of a Keyblade slot. Even the medals that say have to be in a higher slot, it works perfectly for that. So I do recommend going for these. Even the Nominate here is a good choice for forward copying. Again, copies of 15, it's going to be a 37.5 multiplier. Huge. So I would recommend copy medals above all of this. The only option is Lingering Will, what I would second think on that. But in all honesty, guys, my first choice would be the copycat medals when it comes to 5-star fairies. 5-star fairies, I highly recommend that because these guys will get outdated very quickly, especially if you're competing in PvP. And the best thing out of the tier 5s is copycat medals. Straight down, can't go wrong. High multipliers compared to anything else here. So that is single target and random. You guys choose from what you need for what Keyblade setup you want. You need reverse magic, go for the girl Ursula. If you want some enemy countdown, go for these. If you want straight damage, go for these. If you want future proofing, then obviously even now, sorry, not even future proofing, just all together, if you have good multipliers already, these are going to be a great choice. Now let's look at AoE medals. The best AoE medals are basically in tier 5. Tier 4 had something around 20 if you were lucky. Prime medals 21 point something. Here, we're already looking at 23.65. But these guys have certain conditions that you got to go by. Of course, Lord of the Dead has to inflict more damage when slot 4. And then you've got Ventus Vanitas here inflicts more damage in slot 5. Not a bad condition for being AoE, 23.65. Very good. But I'd rather save my AoE medals for somewhere in between, not the end. The end is usually where my single target medals kick in. But then you've got SP Vanitas here having a 23.65 AoE damage. Remember, our AoE cap is somewhere in the 15.38. This guy is way above that by 8, more than 8 multiplier. That is huge. Then, of course, you have these guys, which the limit forms, and all you gotta do is have a party of 30. If your party's full, you got a multiplier AoE damage of 23.05. Now, when it comes to AoE and single target, I really prefer my single target medals. So if you were to choose one medal and you had a 5-star and you already did everything else, a copycat medal, you did Lingering Will, you did your best tier 5s, and you have a tier 5 to go for, you want an AoE medal with good multiplier because you haven't got 6-star fairies or 7 or 8, then obviously go for something here instead of anything else for tier 5s. Like him, 23.65. Beautiful, can sit anywhere. If you want uprates, then go for these medals right here. Just have a full party. And then when you go down this list, it starts going to the 22s. As you can see, tier 5 AoE was pretty much where it is. This is where tier 5s shine the most because every medal that you can see here has a 20 multiplier. This is better than all the tier 4s. which really makes a big difference. So any of these metals will be better than your tier 4s. When you look at tier 4s and tier 3s, you don't see that big of a difference. But when you get into AoE from tier 4 and tier 5, it's not that big of a jump, but almost every metal that you can see here has a 20 multiplier for AoE. The best of the best is all the way up here. Even these EX metals are not as good as these metals up here. So these metals are the ones you guys want to go for. If you have some conditions you can apply, then of course inflicts more damage the higher the slot number at the end of the Keyblade slot. If you guys want 22.35, so on and so on. But I would definitely stick to the SP Vanitas, the limit forms, or sorry, just the forms in general, Master Form and all that, Valor Form. You guys want to go for that. The World 5 Fantasy Metals AoE, not a bad idea either, because they ignore target's attributes, just like that VIP metal I showed you for single target, SDG, and it has a solid multiplier of 22.85. But when it comes to tier 5s, guys, I would focus more on the single target than AoE damage, unless you really need that AoE damage for some reason. Then try to look at one of these options up here, as long as it stays in a 22 multiplier. There's no point in clicking on all these. Everyone has its own condition. Whatever you have, go for it if you can complete it. Inflicts more damage the higher your HP. You get a solid 21.88. One of the reasons I'm not focusing too much on the AoE is because, again, of that single target metal, the copycat metals, because you can just make this guy maxed out and copy any other tier 7, tier 8, or just a really good metal, and you have your AoE damage anytime you want. You have your single target damage anytime you want. So I put that the level 5 fairy tickets, huge value on these copycat metals. I would go for these above anything else, guys. Get these guys into 7 stars and it will change your gameplay a lot. It's not the same when we go into like 6-star copycat metals, 7-star copycat metals, and 8-star, because they're, or sorry, tier 8s. There's a big difference when it comes to those metals. They have the power that you want to copy with these low tier copycat metals. That's what you guys want to look forward to. So it all depends what you guys want to do. Tier 5 is a little bit more tricky with all the AoE metals. For single target, it's got beautiful damage above those prime axle, above the prime metals, doing already more than you need to. So if you do get level 5 fairies, these are the single targets you should be looking at, and then copycat metals. If you guys want to add anything to this, I know tier 5s are a little bit different. Those are the best of the multipliers, but again, it's not always about power. You also want to go for the utility with the copycat metals. If you need some AoE damage and you think increasing your AoE by 1 multiplier or 2 might help, then go for that AoE damage. But in all honesty, you got Lingering Will, copycat metals as your top choice, and then everything else is there just for extra damage. So if you want to leave anything down in the comment section below, let everyone know what's your favorite tier 5, what's your setup that you use, and just say, hey, these are actually worth it, these are not worth it. I want to know what you guys think about these tier 5s. Tier 5s are a little bit more complicated because there's so many different conditions in each one, especially the AoE metals, and there's a lot of events and metals you can't get anymore. So it's very hard to choose, but I staple the copycat metals anytime. If you guys did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.